To save the company that made him famous, he was forced to sell the company he loved most. This is the story of a man who couldn't read properly as a child and built one of the most recognized business empires on earth, only to nearly lose it all in a single, painful decision. As a child, he struggled badly in school. He couldn't read well, mixed up letters, and fell behind his classmates constantly. Today, we'd recognize it as dyslexia. But back then, teachers simply thought he wasn't trying hard enough. One headmaster told him he would either end up in prison or become a millionaire. He dropped out of school at 16 with no qualifications and no clear plan. At just 16, he started a small magazine with a friend. It struggled to make money, but it taught him how to run a business. A few years later, he began selling music records by mail order, cheaper than record shops, straight to people's homes. That small mail order business grew into a record shop. The record shop grew into a recording studio. And the recording studio grew into a record label that would go on to sign some of the biggest music acts in the world. By his late 20s, he had built a music empire from nothing, proof that his teachers had been wrong about him. But instead of staying comfortable, he took an enormous risk. He decided to start an airline. Going head-to-head with an industry giant that had decades of experience and government backing. Almost everyone told him he was making a mistake. Industry experts said a music executive with no airline experience would fail within a year. For a while, it worked. But by the early 1990s, a war in the Middle East sent fuel prices soaring and passenger numbers crashing. His young airline was suddenly bleeding money it didn't have. At the same time, the industry giant he was competing against launched an aggressive campaign to undermine his airline's reputation, spreading damaging rumors to travel agents and the press. His airline was on the edge of collapse. He needed a large amount of cash, fast, or he risked losing everything he had built. There was only one asset valuable enough to save the airline: his record label. The very company that had made him rich and famous. The company he loved. He later said signing away the deal was one of the most painful moments of his life. Friends who worked alongside him said he cried after the sale was finalized. He had sacrificed his first love to save his newest venture. But the sacrifice worked. With the cash from the sale, the airline survived the crisis, and years later, he won a lawsuit against his rival for the smear campaign, receiving a public apology and a settlement. The airline that almost collapsed grew into one of the most recognized carriers in the world. From there, he didn't stop at airlines and music. He expanded into hundreds of companies, mobile phones, hotels, fitness, banking, even commercial space travel. The boy who couldn't read properly in school became one of the wealthiest self-made entrepreneurs on the planet, eventually watching his own spacecraft carry passengers to the edge of space. He later said that being dyslexic taught him to think differently, to focus on the big picture instead of getting lost in details. And giving up the company he loved most taught him that sometimes protecting your future means letting go of something precious in the present. Sometimes the hardest sacrifice is exactly what saves everything you're building. If this story inspired you, subscribe to the Setback Files. Every week, we uncover the real struggles behind the world's greatest success stories. Have you ever had to give up something you love to save something bigger? Tell us in the comments below.